Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDR's, but hey, it's something. Now today, we're gonna be you may know that I actually recorded another podcast, and, I was again trying to play the iCivics game. I believe the OBS studio thing that I have only works really good for streaming, so I think I'll try to only use OBS for streaming purposes. Speaking of streaming, remember, due to you all suggesting it, on November 5th, we're gonna be live streaming me predicting election results, and you can also give me questions and answers and da 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 da. And also, by the way, if the next video on Thursday doesn't get out properly, oops, schoolwork's just been kind of hectic. You understand, people have been to university and stuff before. So anyways, let's get into the news. The first news story is Senate passes defense and health spending bill, tries to delay border wall fight till after midterms. The Senate on Tuesday passed a short-term spending bill that would keep the government running through December 7th, aiming to avert a government shutdown and put off a fight over funding for President Trump's border wall until after the midterm elections. The short-term bill came attached to a massive budget package containing full year 2019 funding for the Pentagon, as well as for the Labor, Education, Health and Human Service departments. It was a vote that was 93-7, and the vote basically made $606.5 billion and a $17 billion increase to the military for the 2018, the highest military budget until after the Iraq War. Ever since the Iraq War. Now, I've actually been paying attention very closely to this bill, because I was kind of picking my brain out to be here are the people that we're obviously supposed to vote for and for against it. Remember, it was a 93-7 bill. Now you may remember, but let me go over 3 drafts for Senate. This is Senate, not the House, obviously. Draft 1. The people who voted against Draft 1 of the bill was Dianne Feinstein, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Ed Markey, Jeff Merkley, Ron Wyden, Kirsten Gillibrand, Mike Lee, Rand Paul, and Bernie Sanders. So, these are some of your usual suspects like Merkley, Warren, Sanders, Lee, Paul. Those guys are usually there. Then Draft 2, the people who voted against this draft of the bill were Dick Durbin, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Ed Markey, Jeff Merkley, Ron Wyden, Kirsten Gillibrand, Mike Lee, Marco Rubio, and Bernie Sanders. Again, a lot of these usual suspects, make their way here as usual. Draft 3 of the bill is where it gets tricky. Here are the names. Here are the people who voted against this bill: David Perdue, Pat Toomey, Ben Sasse, Jeff Flake, Mike Lee, Rand Paul, and Bernie Sanders. Notice a couple people missing? The Democrats. Where did they go? Turns out they're we have to vote for this bill, otherwise the government will shut down. Couldn't you have at least sent someone to coordinate send one Democrat to represent everybody and we will only support this bill so that we can prevent a government shutdown? But this one senator will cast their vote no for protest, representing all the Democrats. Couldn't you have done some kind of stupid symbolic gesture like that? Merkley and Warren, they would have done it in a snap. Merkley and Warren. Yeah. Hashtag the resistance. Am I right, guys? They're resisting really hard. The next story. Randy Bryce's mom wants ad with brother in it taken down. Mother of a Wisconsin congressional candidate, Randy Bryce, doesn't like to see her sons fight. Nancy Bryce, in an open letter Wednesday, called for an attack ad featuring Randy Bryce's brother James to be taken off the air. My family deserves better than this, she wrote. All families deserve better than this. Randy Bryce, known for the colorful nickname Iron Stash, is a Democrat running to replace House Speaker Paul Ryan, who's leaving the congressional seat. Brian Steele, a former Ryan aide, is the Republican running for the nomination. Basically, James Bryce, who's a police officer, he was in the ad, and the ad was pretty much endorsing the Republican in the race. In fact, Randy Bryce's brother actually wanted to run for the seat himself, which I think would have actually been an interesting thing. But he didn't. So, but anyways, he's just the whole thing itself is just bad. And yeah, that's it. Okay, so next story. Choi for Chicago. Political committee created to raise money for potential Garcia mayoral run. Jesus Choi Garcia hasn't gotten into the Chicago mayoral race yet, but a close associate of the Cook County Commissioner has started the political committee to begin raising money for the potential campaign. The Choi for Chicago committee was created Wednesday with the State Board of Elections to explore the candidacy of Jesus Choi Garcia for mayor and city of Chicago. According to a statement the organization posted on the board's website. Now, this is really confusing because here's how the story goes, how it is. Luis Gutierrez is currently the member of the House representing Choi's district. Gutierrez decides that he's not going to run for re-election and instead chooses to get a progressive to run to take a seat. And Choi decides that he's going to be that progressive and runs, and then gets the endorsement from Gutierrez and even Bernie Sanders. This seat is solidly blue, so Choi is just running, and it is pretty much just long coronation for him. He's one of the endorsements that I made that I'm 100% sure is going to win. And, well, not 100%, like 99 or 98% or so. But basically, Gutierrez then decides that he's going to run for Chicago mayor. But then he drops out of the race, and in this article, it even explains that he endorses Choi for the mayoral run. Why? Choi's busy running for Congress. Granted, Choi didn't give me his didn't give me his political positions until like a long time until his campaign was like pretty much in full effect. But I mean, come on. Can't you at least let him lose the race before you even try to make him, continue? Okay, next story. Maxime Bernier's new political party, the People's Party of Canada. Quebec MP Maxime Bernier is naming his new political venture the People's Party of Canada. Bernier says its name, which will be the PPC for short, fits a party that represents the people who are tired of Canadian politics being hijacked by special interest groups, cartels, and lobbyists. Basically, here's, what happened. Bernier was kind of mad about Andrew Scheer, because Bernier thought that he would be the true, conservative that could be the true conservative voice for, Canada. Now, he is, of course, from Quebec, which is one of those districts in Canada that's they speak French. So he actually also expresses something very interesting. He is from Quebec, and the Conservative Party doesn't really do well with Quebec. So he decides, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and run for leadership of the Conservative Party because they need me. But Andrew Scheer's so much so that Bernier's kind of really popular in Canada, pretty much. He's so popular, in fact, that when Bernier announced that he was going to leave the Conservative Party, the Libertarian Party of Canada called him up and was like, "Yo, bro, can you run for us? Can you represent us?" But Bernier was like, "No, I will create my own political party." And the thing is, this is in this year alone, Canada has grown their political parties a lot. In this year, 3 members of the... let me explain. Quebec, not just Quebec, Canada has these political parties. The Liberal Party representing the center. The Conservative Party representing the right. The New Democratic Party representing the left. Bloc Quebec representing Quebec. It's placed ideologically in between the Liberal Party and the New Democratic Party. And the Green Party, which is placed in between Bloc Quebec and around the same area of Bloc Quebec in the Canadian political spectrum. Those were the only parties that were represented in the Canadian House of Commons at the beginning of 2018. Then eventually 5 members of Bloc Quebec decided, you know what, screw it, and then left the party and created another Quebec party. They eventually rejoined Bloc Quebec, but, they were so close to being 2 just big Quebec parties. Then the New Democratic Party kicks somebody off of the ballot, kicks one of their members out of the party, and he just decides, you know what, I'm gonna bring this old political party back from the dead and be its only representative in the House of Commons. So now, we've got an old political party called the Cooperative Commonwealth Federation Party, I believe, being, represented in Congress. Not Congress, House of Commons. And now we have a new right-wing political party that is going to be represented in the House of Commons. So, now, they've got a lot of political parties in theirs, and we still have 2. It's not exactly a best idea for America. The next story. Attacks on Feinstein backfire on California challenger after Democrat Kevin De Leon ripped the senator for her handling of the sexual assault allegations against Brett Kavanaugh. The party establishment pushed back hard. Kevin De Leon, Senator Dianne Feinstein's opponent, accused her last week of gross misconduct for waiting months to flag a sexual assault allegation against Brett Kavanaugh, seizing on the Supreme Court firestorm to jumpstart his long-shot campaign. Now De Leon is facing a backlash for his own handling of sexual misconduct on his watch of the California legislature, which has been rocked by allegations on pervasive sexual misconduct. So now, pretty much here's what happened. Kevin De Leon was rightfully so, pointed at Dianne Feinstein. I was like, yeah, hold on. You've known about this for a while now. Why didn't you release them until now? And then Dianne Feinstein's like, well, we can't do the thing because I want to protect her identity. It's like, Feinstein, she is, if these allegations, look, whether or not these allegations are real, it doesn't matter, because let me explain. Let's say the allegations are real. Let's say let's say you're someone who believes that the allegations are legitimate. Well then, of course she would come forward and say that the allegations are legitimate because she wants Kavanaugh in prison for what he tried to do. But let's say you're one of those people who say, no, I don't believe they're real. Well, then that doesn't mean that she doesn't want her identity revealed, because then if she was doing this just for fame, she'd do it for fame and she'd want her face shown. Personally, I don't take either side at the moment because I don't really see too much evidence on either side, but that's because maybe I haven't just dug deep enough. I lean on the side of yeah, it seems that her story checks out. Yeah, I would pretty much say yeah, it checks out pretty much. But again, I remember, I wasn't there. Maybe I'm trying to toe myself on the tightrope. But either way, it's just whatever. I mean, this isn't whatever. This is a serious thing, and she should be allowed to be in the hearing, and, you know, so that she could get her story out. Like Ted Cruz said in his debate with Beto O'Rourke, she should be allowed to speak her mind, and do-da-da-da. Speaking of sexual misconduct in the Supreme Court, Republican Congressman jokes Ruth Bader Ginsburg came out that she was groped by Abraham Lincoln. Representative Ralph Norman, a Republican from South Carolina, had just found himself in hot water after making a tasteless joke about the sexual misconduct allegations against President Donald Trump's Supreme Court nominee, Brett Kavanaugh. Of course, given that his Democratic opponent has admitted to having beaten his wife in the past, it is unlikely Norman's opponent will be able to effectively spin those remarks against him. Did y'all hear about the latest breaking news from the Kavanaugh hearings? Ruth Bader Ginsburg came out and said she was groped by Abraham Lincoln. He says the reason why he did this was because, you know, he was, you know, trying to bring levity to a serious situation. To which I say, I mean, you really want to try that? I mean, multiple reasons why you probably shouldn't do that. One, these allegations are rather serious and you probably shouldn't, like, for the sake of your political career. Two, don't mess with Ruth Bader Ginsburg or you'll get this hand. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, favorite Supreme Court Justice, best Supreme Court Justice. Leave a comment in the comment section below if you want me to talk about Ruth Bader Ginsburg at one point. Or maybe you could say, like, oh no, you'll actually like this congressman, not a congressman, this Supreme Court Justice better. Yeah, but as of right now, yeah, Ruth Bader Ginsburg pretty much is, like, I took the on the issues test, Supreme Court Justices, Ruth Bader Ginsburg on top. You know, as she should be. I mean, hold on, I don't exactly know how the Supreme Court works 100%, but, like, at what point does Ruth Bader Ginsburg get to be Chief Justice? At what point? Like, is it a thing where you, you're automatically there if you have seniority, or are you appointed a Chief Justice for life? Because I think it would be rather unfair for a president to appoint a Chief Justice. Because, you know, a Chief Justice would just be, like imagine if a president was really just like, this is an extremely left-wing, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, you're the Chief Justice for a long time, but then some, like, really far-right and Nazi comes in and is like, yeah, I want Jew McKillkill to be the next Chief Justice. I mean, I guess that's why they don't do that. But again, what point does she do? Because I want to see her be Chief Justice, actually. I want to see her. But again, this is probably just, you know, political bias, but whatever. I don't care. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she's my girl. Not in real life, but, you know. I saw a picture of her that was kind of attractive, though. I mean, but not saying that she's not attractive now, but, you know, she's old and more than likely taken, so, and if not, she's married to her job as the justice. I mean, so much so, she actually did the whole thing, like, during Obama's tenure, they were like, hey, Ruth, like, some people pictured her to be like, yo, Ruth, you should probably retire because, you know, Obama, he's gonna, he's gonna appoint a like-minded Supreme Court Justice, so why not? She looked and saw Obama's lies right through and through, and was like, I ain't letting no neoliberal pick somebody to replace me. So, yeah, that is just, like, that's pretty much how Ruth Bader Ginsburg roll. In fact, there's video of her when she was talking about, like, when she was being heard for a Supreme Court, like, justice, like, when she was gonna be, like, when she had her hearing, she, there's a video made by Vox that points out, like, the the like justices on regards to the abortion, like Roe v. Wade, and they asked, like, if you were on the court during Roe v. Wade, would you have voted yes or no? Like, there were here were the answers. The first justice, who was a female, I don't know who she was. It wasn't Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It was someone else. I don't know her name, but she said that she openly opposed abortion. And then pretty much all the other ones, like Antonin Scalia, Justice Kennedy, Neil Gorsuch, they were like, I don't know, maybe not, I don't know. But then Ruth Bader Ginsburg just gave a stern yes. Yes, it's a woman's right to choose. You see, that's why I like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She just smacks and gets things done. But anyways, enough about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Let's get into the political party of the day. The political party of the day is the Populist Party of Maryland. It was founded in 2003. Its ideology is populism. I know, shocker. It currently does not exist. It ended in 2010, and it originated as a vehicle for ballot access for the 2004 Ralph Nader campaign. You see, in Maryland, it was easier to get on the ballot it was easier to create a new political party than to run as an independent in Maryland. So Ralph Nader created the Populist Party of Maryland to give himself ballot access. And, well, it worked, I guess. It stayed around for a certain amount of time, even endorsing the Kevin Zeese campaign for senator. Tried to get a coalition of libertarians and Greens to, like, join up with them to create, like, to make Maryland a better place. But they ended up just deciding to, by 2010, their funding had run pretty much dry. So they pretty much were like, yeah, you know what, it's probably best if we just end it right now. There's pretty much nothing we can do. We're done. So, anyways, so this podcast is gonna be the start of a mini podcast series. It's gonna be it's just gonna be my normal podcast episodes, but it's gonna be kind of like a subset where like the main topic of this video will be me debunking or like trash talking a new media political figure, like one that I do not like for one reason or another. It doesn't even have to be political. It could just be like personal wise. Like it could be like one day I could smack talk like somebody for like having a stupid eyeball. So this one, I think I'm actually starting like with a big one off the bat. Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin is I'm not a particular fan of him. Dave Rubin has a interesting history, to say the least. Dave Rubin started off on the Young Turks, a political news show that I used to watch religiously. It was like Dave was pretty much like their token gay guy, pretty much. Cenk was the brown one, Anna was the woman, Dave was the gay guy. John Idarola was the boring white guy. Jimmy Dore, who would come on the show sometimes, he was like the cool one. Kyle, who'd come on like once, would be like the young kid, like, gee, I don't know, Cenk. And Cenk would be like, hold on, bro. Listen up. I got you covered. Or no, wait, I'm sorry. He'd say, oh, no, bro, I got you covered. But this isn't the Cenk episode. Cenk is going to be featured in another episode. Not in person. No. I don't want you to get that wrong. I mean, if I could have Cenk on the show, that'd be cool, to be quite honest. I mean, I'd like to just sit there and be like, so, Chank, what about the Alex Jones controversy? But again, this isn't the Chank episode. This is a Chank. Chank's day will come, but today's not the day. Today is the day about political hypocrite Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin, the guy who was a super progressive guy turned into a sock puppet for the Koch brothers. Now, his name has been appearing a lot more recently because he's been being called out a lot more, especially by people who kind of went hush-hush about him. Like, Kyle Kalinske, he talked about Dave. He was like, yeah, I don't really like Dave that much. Sargon kind of sucks too. And, like, he also went, people on, like, people who were in, like, my camp of the group, like, the ones that were, like, super uber progressive, we used to be the ones that like Dave Rubin, and now, all of a sudden, it's the super right-wing guys that are like, now Dave Rubin's our favorite buddy. And I think this sums up pretty much why I'm not a particularly fan of Dave Rubin. Here was Dave Rubin in 2015.
If you guys know anything about me at this point, you know that I do like Bernie. He's the guy that pretty much everything he says, I pretty much agree with.
That was 2015 Dave Rubin. Now listen to edgy 2018 Dave Rubin.
The more they raise the hysteria about the guy, the more they're going to probably get him reelected. Because I'll tell you this right now, that if the choice is in 2020, assuming everything basically stays like it is right now, sure, you know, without throwing in a major X factor like some really horrific terrorist attack or just cratering of the economy or something, if everything basically stays like it is right now, and my choice in 2020 is either Trump or Bernie or Elizabeth Warren or Gavin Newsom or one of these crazy progressives, I'm voting Trump. And I won't have a problem doing it.
A bit radical change from, I love Bernie, to, if Bernie runs, I'm voting Donald Trump. Let's be real. What? This is not how it works, Dave. You don't just go... Like, you don't just say... Like, you don't completely change your views. Even if you change the title you call yourself... Like, the title I called myself went from liberal to libertarian to progressive and social democrat in, like, the span of, like, younger, like, in a smaller amount of time, but my views changed, like, they changed nothing. The only time my views really made a big shift was when I started getting, like, more paying attention. I was like, oh, no, wait, that makes sense. And the bigger difference is, like, because I'm, like, 18, and Dave Rubin's, like, 20-something, 42? I'll literally have his Wikipedia page pulled up, and I'm like 20, I thought he was in his 20s, but he's 42? This is not excusable. You don't just change your political views in the span of a small amount of time when you're fully developed. How did this happen? I'll tell you what happened. Learn Liberty gave him some money. He took that wheel and went hard right. I remember checking, like, cause like Dave Rubin's political compass test, because he posted like two political compass tests. One where he was like in the center left. That was like a earlier on one, and one more recent one where he's on the right. Like Dave Rubin even tries to be like, no, I'm not a right winger. I'm just saying that if the government gets out of the way of private enterprise, then the invisible hand of the free market and laissez-faire capitalism will work. Is that a right-wing idea? Yes. Yes, it is. He's speaking at the Ayn Rand Institute. What? And the thing is, he was saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna be the first person to hold Trump's feet to the fire." Still waiting, Dave. Hello? You gonna put his feet to the fire? In fact, there's only like one or two ideological things that actually like happened. One involves TYT and their interview with Sam Harris. And he apparently said, like, that's the big thing that made me leave the Young Turks. And that was like, no thanks. He didn't like how Cenk was, like, misrepresenting Sam Harris's views. And he was also, did a Roseanne Barr and was also like, and I also don't like how they were representing Israel. Israel is a nice friend and ally of ours, and anti-Semitism. It's kind of like how did Dave Rubin literally go? It just seems implausible. Like, Dave Rubin can express whatever political views he wants. I don't care, but don't lie. And it even shows the truth that it was actually a recent video by Blair White, a very interesting figure who is a politically conservative transgender person. I mean, she can express whatever views she wants, I don't care. But she also kind of goes social conservative, which is really weird to me. She goes on the route of, like, doing the whole, like, she does kind of, like, say, like, if you want to be transgender, then just take the surgery. Not everyone can afford the surgery, Blair. But Blair will probably get her own video. Like, I mean, Blair, let me preface this, because I know there's someone that I'm, like, online friends with who might be watching this and might see me trash-talking Blair, and then might be like, hey, bro, why do you do that for? To which I say, well, hold on. She has the right to exist. She has the right to express whatever view she wants. And, of course, there are people who be mean and physically threw water in her face, like wine or soda or something in her eyes. Those guys are screwed up, man. I don't support them. But yeah, that's the thing about free speech. Like, if Blair White wants to get on the stage and express whatever view she wants, fine. Give me the speech afterwards. Whatever. But anyways, back to Dave Rubin. This video title is going to be Dave Rubin plus many sidetracks. Okay. Dave Rubin has, like, and you might say, well, babe, hold on. Aren't you being a little too radical? I mean, maybe all Dave did was move from the center left to center, because that's what I thought he did. I was actually a bit more optimistic, saying, well, Dave Rubin seems to be just more ideologically in the center, but then I realized, wait a second. Hold on. He's shifted from, he literally went from, hey Cenk, hey Anna, you're my bestest friends, to, hey Ben Shapiro, hey Dennis Prager, you two people who hate me because of my homosexuality, you're my bestest buddies. It's like, what? That doesn't even make sense. It makes no sense. You go from ideologically, you want everybody to be free to do whatever you want, and now you're going to people who would literally express views that say that that gay people shouldn't get married. I mean, there's a hilarious video where Ben Shapiro and Dave Rubin, they were literally, like, sitting in a room, and they were talking, and then Ben Shapiro was asked, would you bake a cake for Dave Rubin? And then he says, no, because Dave Rubin is gay. I don't like gay people. Well, he didn't say exactly that, but, he said, like, ideologically, I'm opposed to gay marriage. They should not be allowed to get married, or something along those lines. Like, something that was, like, gay people, I don't want to participate in their marriage. And Dave was like, whoops. It's like, ugh. Dave, these are the people you choose to associate with. Really? And Dave Rubin's also an atheist. And he also associates with Jordan Peterson, Dennis Prager, and Ben Shapiro, who ideologically use religion to force people to do certain, like, it's like, what? Why are you associating with these guys? Like, you would never catch me associating with, like, being like, hey, I'm buddies with this. I mean, I might be friends with a conservative, but, I mean, I'm not gonna, you know, if we'd have debates or something, I don't know. But anyways, I just realized while I was rambling on that I was in the middle of talking about the Blair White Dave Rubin controversy. Okay, so Blair White, she pretty much said in a video, like, how she was invited to a person's show, and she thought this person was a very elegant conservative, you know, like her. But then during in the green room, she pretty much was told by this person, I'm not really a conservative. I don't believe any of this stuff I'm saying. I'm just saying this to make money. And many people, including myself, immediately were like, I mean, there's only one person who would sell his entire political soul for money, and that's Dave Rubin. Just kidding, there are a lot more people who do that, but Dave just so happens to be one of them. Like, Dave Rubin is a sellout. He just is a sellout. There's nothing to it. He's a sellout. He was a progressive, made money, saw that there was more money in being conservative, and then became a conservative. And that's pretty much it. There are a lot of other people who have done this too. Some Bernie people who openly supported Donald Trump. Like, there are a lot of individuals like this who, you know, express views that are, you know, not so good. Or, like, they like, people like Dave who pretty much, like, no matter what, they'll just sell their soul for money. That's pretty much what Dave did. These political views, because, like, if a person can't just have political views and then just be like, oh, these political views are nothing. No, your political views are you. You are your political views. If you have a political opinion, like a political opinion, it's not just like, it's not like, oh, I like Pizza Hut. No, like, it's not like just the kind of pizza you like to eat the best. A political opinion is how you want to run a country, how you think a country or even the world should be governed. This isn't something that you can just go, well, I'll say I like this on one day, and then I'll say I hate it another day. And to the point where Dave is expressing, like, libertarian ideas that are just like, these aren't even just like your, like, classical liberal ideas. She's expressing ideas that are pretty much minarchist or ANCAP. And again, if you're an ANCAP or a minarchist and you like those ideas, fine. You can express it if you want. But Dave is just, like, saying all this while he's like, well, I'm not a libertarian or a conservative. I'm a classical liberal. That is so much unique. I'm so enlightened. He's like one of those people that uses the term centrist, like, I hate far left Republicans and hate far right Democrats. Okay, that's an interesting world. That's an interesting world to point out, but, like, you get what I'm saying. The people who are like, I'm so enlightened because I'm in the center. It's like, I mean, if you're a centrist, that's fine, but don't be like, oh, I'm so enlightened because I'm a centrist. It's, these are, like, it's pretty much coined the term regressive left at this point. I mean, even though someone else made the term, I forget who it is, some guy who was trying to express, like, views against Islam. I mean, radical Islam, and how, you know, he expressed views that were, like, people were, that's a different story. I keep getting off track because I guess Dave Rubin is just too boring to talk about. Because, well, I mean, just to be honest, that's pretty much everything about Dave Rubin. People, he's pretty much been the internet's punching bag, except to libertarians and conservatives. Everybody else who's not a libertarian or conservative sees, like, Dave Rubin and is like, yeah, we don't really like him that much. He's just the guy who sold out his views for money. And that's the biggest problem. That doesn't, like, let's say you are a conservative or a libertarian. Does that put you guys in a positive light? Oh, this guy is pretty much just a guy who sold his soul for money. This whole ideology is pretty much just selling your soul. Like, it doesn't really make your ideology seem more big or unique. It makes your ideology seem just bought. It's just, and again, remember, Dave Rubin is, I mean, there's, I'm not gonna say that there's everything negative about him. Like, I'm not gonna say that there's, like, when he says, like, you know, the government needs to get out of your bedroom, the government needs to get out of your of whatever substance you want to use, it's like, okay, that makes sense. But then he'll say an idea like, when he was on Joe Rogan, he literally was expressing an idea like, you know, maybe instead of the United States putting in standards on buildings, maybe they should have a Yelp for what was the thing he was saying, like something along the lines of Yelp for builders, or like you know, an iPhone app for something along the lines of, like, something that was like, you know, maybe the government shouldn't get their hands on this and it should be left to the private enterprise. And Joe Rogan was pretty much like, what are you talking about? This is nonsense. Something about the UPS too. He was ranting about how, like, the UPS stinks. No, wait. He was saying the post office stinks. Like, he was like, the government sucks and makes the post office terrible. UPS is much better. See, the private enterprise wins again. Yeah, the private enterprise is definitely gonna send us to the moon. The private enterprise is the thing that it was private enterprise that let the Civil Rights Act happen. It was private enterprise that let gay marriage get legalized. The government didn't step in at all. Like, I never understand this kind of mentality. Like, government bad. No. It's not inherently good or bad unless it's a tool to be used for good or bad. Some things the government does is good. Some things the government does is shitty. But, I mean, it's just how they use it. Teacher Curry expressed it best, like, size doesn't matter about the government. It can be whatever size it needs to be. It's just how it's used. If the government's gotta do a lot of things, those things better be beneficial to a majority of people. Otherwise, there's no point for it being big. Like I of course want the government to be bigger to help the poor and the needy and the helpless. So those programs are gonna get bigger. But in a program that's not needed to be bigger, like ICE, make it smaller. There's things. Again, I go on a rant about something that is not Dave Rubin related. Well, I mean, I guess this is Dave Rubin related because Dave Rubin is now for the free market to take care of everything. I just read it here. I just read it on his Wikipedia that he considers being progressive a mental disorder. Wow, I mean, that is just I mean, if this is a joke, it's not exactly, well, I mean, I guess it can be funny. Not really, no, it's not even really that funny. Like, I mean, like, think about it. Blank is a mental disorder. Not really. It either is or isn't. Being politically progressive is not a mental disorder. Being politically conservative is not a mental disorder. Being politically classic liberal or libertarian, politically anarchist, not a mental disorder. It's called a different opinion, Dave. Have you heard of them? Well, I mean, considering you're always screaming like, the left is trying to silence me. They're not trying to. No. Ooh, college students. Some college students screaming, we don't like you, Dave Rubin. Do you need a safe space, Dave? Do you need a safe space to go cry? Boy, that would be a hilarious scenario. Me being a schoolyard bully and Dave Rubin just walking around just like, I'm a classical liberal. And I'm like, hey, nerd, what's up? If Dave happens to hear this is going to be a great cannon fodder for his show or his fans, pretty much. This is going to be great fodder for his fans. And then Dave's going to make a video and say something along the lines of like, I don't know, like, what did he say, actually? I'm actually kind of curious. I actually might send this to him just to see if he has a response. I mean, if he blocks me, that'll be terrible. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure he might not. I think he has at least the guts to be like, hey, this guy expressed bad views about me. Meh. And just throw his phone in the trash because the Koch brothers' money can give him another phone. Ooh. This is winding up to be a great podcast. I recorded for 47 minutes, and a lot of them are pauses because I prepared this at the very last second. I should have probably done one different person first. But Dave Rubin's a good start. I mean, that again, I won't get to cover him again. So I think it will just be, I was gonna get to Dave Rubin eventually, so I guess I just had to rip the Band-Aid off now. So, to recap, who is Dave Rubin? Classical liberal, used to be a progressive, gay man, atheist. Oh wait, I forgot to mention like the whole. There was a video of him like expressing some atheist, like something about his atheism in question or something. I don't know. Maybe he was like going to. I think at the very least he was going to be like, well, I'm not an atheist. I'm actually an agnostic. It's like, oh boy. I'm pretty sure that might be it. Or something along those lines. I might be, like, I mean, I don't even watch Dave Rubin that much. I usually watch, like, some, like, opposite viewpoints. I don't really watch Dave Rubin that much because it's clear that Dave Rubin has no clue. No, like, he's pretty much just I just remembered more things about Dave Rubin to trash talk Dave Rubin about. Like, there's one time where he expressed what he said, like, single payer was like, where he said, here's what he said about single payer. He was pretty much like, I like single payer. The idea of the government working with private industries to get the best quality health insurance is the best idea ever. That's why I adamantly support single payer. It's like, Dave, that's not what single payer is. Single payer means no private industry. Government takes over. And he's like, what? I don't know what. But, what was another thing? The other thing that I was gonna, I think it was it just that, or I was thinking two things. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, his interview style. As a person who's also done interviews, link in the description, I could say without a shred of doubt, Dave Rubin, not that good on interviews. Okay, maybe somewhat, but, you know, there's a whole video by counter arguments that explains the whole thing. Pretty much a summary is like, Dave, he, like, and there's also a Freedom Tunes episode where he also talks about like the problems with Dave Rubin's interviews. Here's how a typical Dave Rubin interview would be. Welcome to the Rubin Report. I'm your host, Dave Rubin. Now today we have a very special guest star. We have this anarcho-capitalist. How you doing today, Mr. ANCAP?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So, what are your views on the American government?
Well, I believe that the United States federal government is very detrimental. I believe that the United States government needs to scale back a lot of its problems. I think it needs to get out of the how the private market handles things.
I agree with that. 100%.
And I just feel that the United States government needs to take all of its time focusing away from like the stupid gay rights thing where they're trying to get them to bake the cakes, and should instead focus all that money on sending all of the black people to concentration camps. I just think that it needs to be stated how this needs to be done.
So next question, sir. What are your thoughts on the regressive left?
The regressive left just is a complete and utter disaster. The regressive left is, so one of the biggest reasons why I'm an ANCAP, because I think these stupid SJW hippies need to just stop hugging their trees and, get real jobs. Am I right?
I agree with that wholeheartedly, sir. You like that? Did you like that a little bit I did? Okay. It took me a bit out of the groove because rather than continuing on recording, I chose to edit that right then and there to get the voices. The only reason I didn't choose to do just an impression is because I can't really do a Dave Rubin impression. Because I'm pretty sure that I just do the "oh hey, how you doing," which is kind of what I was going for with that pitched up and down sound effect. Oh, and also I did not run over to a piano, grab my snowball mic, and then play the song. That song was actually done by a YouTuber called Banging on My Ivories. I'll link to his video where he plays the Rubin Report theme on his piano. I give Dave Rubin one thing: that song is really catchy, though. I do find myself listening to it every so often. So, anyways, that's pretty much how it would explain the whole concept of he would always find a way to agree with his guests, but whenever it was time to disagree, he would be like, well, I mean, this time I can't intellectually say that I disagree with them, especially considering at the beginning of every single, video interview he does, he expresses, a literal political opinion straight to the camera. He says, he idolizes Larry King, who does this kind of, interview style. I personally don't adhere to that kind of interview style. My interviews, they try to do something they interview the guests in a way that they know what my political views are, but I don't try to make that the thing. It's not I might do that if I'm trying to do a gotcha interview, but I haven't had the opportunity to do a gotcha interview. The only person I've interviewed so far was someone I actually agreed with pretty much on every single issue. So, anyways, since there's not much for me to really continue beating the dead horse that is Dave Rubin himself, I'm going to end it here. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified when a future video of mine comes out. And if you're interested in more political content from me, you can go to my website, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Quora. What are your thoughts on Dave Rubin? Do you like him? Do you hate him? Did your opinion change due to my video? Leave a comment below, and if you want me to talk about another new media political figure, leave them in the comment section below. I already have a lot of ideas floating in my head, ones that I like, ones that I dislike, that'll give them a good old 1-2. And I think I know who might be next.